Welcome to Gideon, guys. I'm Johnny Hedgepeth.
And I'm Travis Woloshyn.
And this is the podcast where we're talking about my favorite television show, DC's Legends of Tomorrow. If you haven't listened to the first one, just give you a little background again. Again, my favorite show. I've seen every season at least 2 or 3 times. Travis here.
I'm 2 episodes in, just like you guys, if you're following along.
So this episode is the pilot part 2.
Yeah.
Because we just did the pilot part 1 last week, which, as you mentioned, was pretty self-contained.
Yep, or so I thought. But then it turns out that it was like one side of the coin, so to speak. And a side of a coin is its own side. But I think this did did wrap things up.
Yeah. So before we get into that, how was your Easter?
We ordered. You don't have Boston pizza in Colorado, do you?
Wait. Boston Pizza?
That's what it's called. It's a Canadian restaurant, chain of restaurants. God, what would I compare it to? What is the American equivalent? I don't know. I can only think of more Canadian equivalents. Anyways, I got a beef dip. It's nothing special. We order meal prep, and we also it just ended up being weird in terms of when our grocery ordering is and when our meal prep shows up and stuff. And so yesterday was just really it was fine. My daughter had a fun day. Like, she spent more time hiding her eggs than I did than she did looking for them. She kept redoing it again. She said, "Okay, now you hide the eggs." And this is good. I would set up all these false fronts in her room, like put all these hats around the thing where she'd have to look underneath and find these different things. And by the end, I just put all 5 eggs in her underwear drawer. That was it. After she looked everywhere, that was the highlight probably of the day. That and Animal Crossing. I've been playing that goddamn game on the Switch, and they've had this ongoing event coming up that they can't call Easter, but they call Bunny Day, and it's been driving us all crazy. And now it's over, and I can get back to my other just regular fake life and not have to worry about these fake holidays.
Yeah, I celebrated the resurrection of our Lord by sitting in my room watching movies, recovering from dental surgery.
Yeah, it's back to back, man.
Yeah, back to back.
Sheesh. Yowza.
Yep. And I watched.
What did you watch?
Before we get into this show, I watched 3 movies in a row. That's what the quarantine is doing now. It's time to actually sit and watch stuff.
Right.
I watched I, Tonya, which I thought was outstanding.
Yeah.
Allison Janney deserved that Oscar. She was amazing.
And I hear Margot Robbie as well, right?
Yeah,
I never saw it. I'm so biopics, man. I have such a hard time. If there's one genre of film I strongly dislike, it's biopics. And I have to really have an interest. Maybe this isn't a biopic as much. It's more just like about the scandal, right?
No, it's a biopic, but there's really not a lot to talk about besides her childhood and then the scandal. But it's very inventive. It breaks the fourth wall. It's very, very good.
Cool.
And I watched Hunt for the Wilder People.
Right. I remember that. Yeah,
I
never got around.
Lovely.
Yeah, I had friends who were just really so you will love this, and I never got around to it. Okay.
And then my favorite thing I saw was I finally got around to watching The Death of Stalin.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I'd heard a lot of great things about it.
It's so funny. It's based completely on historical events, but through the lens of the creators of The Thick of It and Veep.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Cool. Good to know.
But speaking of Easter, one thing we also watched as a family was we watched that version of Jesus Christ Superstar, starring John Legend that came out 2 years ago. It was live on NBC. That was outstanding. We watched that.
Yeah, it's funny that I had messaged you about that. I knew that was coming back. Oh, it's good that you reminded me about this. Great, because I wanted to talk about, because I know you had mentioned one of your dream roles is the King Herod, right?
King Herod, yes.
Yeah, and which is Alice Cooper in that version, which is great. That but one time I went to a karaoke event. It wasn't a karaoke event, just a get together at a bar or a pub that doesn't exist anymore in Vancouver called the Duffin. It was a gay bar, but they had this karaoke night that was really good. And you would, it's most of the time it's your standard thing. You get your usual bunch of drunk girls going up and singing Summer of '69, and the four bro dudes singing End of the Road by Boys to Men, and everything in between that you'd expect. But then out of nowhere comes up a guy singing that. So what's the name of that song?
Oh, the name of that song.
Yeah, I know.
It's
But it's like, so you are the Christ, oh, the sweet Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Walk across my swimming pool. Like, it's all kind of cute. For a while, it's kind of like, so this guy goes, I should mention, the guy who goes up is like really big, really effeminate gay guy, and just starts belting out the song. He does a great performance of it, however, mixed in with everything. And then by the end, he's just belting it out with all the emotion in the world. And there are people who are just walking into the room. Get out, King of the Jews! Like, people just walking into this karaoke night, not knowing what they're expecting. And I was looking at my brother and my buddy Max, who were just pissing their pants and laughing. Yeah, that's the story I wanted to tell you when we were talking about Jesus Christ Superstar being on TV.
Prove to me that you're divine. Change my water into wine.
Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah, but you did watch it again. We had forgotten. That was incredible. I love how hot that crowd is for the whole thing, hey?
Yeah.
And
it's fantastic. It's the worst, and I don't want to say worst, but the worst part of it is actually John Legend as Jesus.
Yeah.
Because he's fine.
Yeah.
But he's surrounded by these amazing, with the exception of Alice Cooper, he's surrounded by this amazing cast of Broadway performers.
Yeah. It really made me miss. It really made me miss being in those big, because even though I'm in film now, I'm a student of theater and all that kind of stuff, just like you, my friend. And I love being in those big ensembles, man, and the way you feel at the end. Yeah, it really made me nostalgic for that.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, it's 1975 in Norway as we pick up with the legends.
Very good segue.
Is that good?
Yeah.
But before we do that, I want to just read the Netflix synopsis for this episode. On a risky mission to undermine Savage, Adam's suit falls into the wrong hands, and Stein must confer with a brilliant man, his younger self. Okay, that's about it. That's short to the point.
Sure. Yeah.
I've looked ahead at some of these descriptions, and they're outstanding.
Yeah, good. I mean, that's like, who gets that job? Is it one? No, there's got to be somebody at every production company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So it's 1975. When we last left the Legends, they're stuck there. Well, they're not stuck there yet. They're in 1975, and they figure out where Vandal Savage is next. And apparently, it's an arms deal, because the last time we saw him, he had a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Classic Savage.
Classic Savage.
Nukes.
So he's got a nuke, and so Gideon tells them where he is, and the team decides they're going to go stop him without listening to Rip, because they think Rip's full of shit. So.
And he already has he hasn't earned their trust yet, so to speak.
Not
right?
yet. Yeah. And as this also leads to one of the great Leonard Snart lines of this episode.
You're gonna have to remind me names. Who's Leonard?
Captain Cold.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. Snart. He says, "Arms dealers and terrorists aren't our type of people, but they're the next best thing."
Yeah. It's almost like you can imagine him being a cartoon snake.
Yes. If they ever do Jungle Book again.
Yeah.
Wentworth Miller.
Yeah.
As Ka.
Yeah. So they need to do an animated remake of the live action remake now. It's all cyclical. It's all cyclical, Johnny.
Oh, those goddamn Disney live action are the worst. They're the worst.
Yeah. Has there been a good one? I heard Beauty and the Beast was solid.
I
never
watch
saw it. I never saw it. I'm not drawn to but hey man, we're not the demographic. You know what I mean? But it is for somebody. Somebody's liking these movies.
Oh yeah. Well, I enjoyed the Jungle Book one because it changed the story enough. But the Beauty and the Beast one, I got 20 minutes in and turned it off. I tried to watch the Lion King one, and it's genuinely disturbing.
Yeah, that's what I found. It just looks off-putting. Yeah.
Because none of the animals are showing any emotion because they look so real.
Yeah.
So it's so weird.
But they pulled it off with Babe and the second Babe like 20 years ago, for fuck's sake. Like, why the fuck can't it work here?
I don't know. Because that's a perfect example, because Babe and the criminally underrated
Babe Pig in the City. Here's my trivia for you involving that film. That is the last film of the year for Gene Siskel.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was his number one the year before he died. Interesting, eh? Full of this shit.
Now, some of you might be listening to this show
thinking
as I've been bombarding social media with links. And I want to thank the Legends groups on Facebook who accepted me into the group and let me plug the show. Cool. So thanks, guys.
That's
and
great.
Gals. But this is what you're getting with this podcast. Okay?
Speaking extensively and only about Legends of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what's the name of the show? No.
It's DC's
Legends of Tomorrow. Of course.
So anyway, they decide they're going to infiltrate the arms deal auction without Rip. And being that they're infiltrating a criminal organization, of course, Leonard Snart, he takes charge at first. But they get there and they're checking their credentials, and Professor Stein decides, this is his time to shine as an actor.
Yeah.
And he's good at first, right? I mean, he goes, "Do you know who we are?" And he rattles off a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah.
But they get in there, and they think they're just going to get the bomb, and then they realize that it's an auction for the bomb, and that Savage doesn't want to buy a bomb; he's selling the bomb.
Yeah,
because world domination costs money.
Of course. Yeah. And and you send out a 75. How do you get the word out for this? Psst, hey, hot nuke, man, hot nuke. Be there.
Psst, we all get together in Norway.
Yeah.
Bring your guns, because that's how we bid.
Norwegian bidding rules. No, there's got to be Oslo back alley bidding rules.
I've seen this episode now 4 times. Yeah. I never not laugh when they start bidding by shooting guns into the air.
That's so awesome. That's so DC, man. I think this is probably why I didn't gravitate to DC, and I can see why some people might have gravitated to DC more, is Marvel tries to really make it real world stuff. And DC tries to go as far as away, like they try to keep it, this could happen in the real world, but you know what? No, come with us. Let's go a little further. You know what I mean? It's not New York, it's Metropolis. It's not Gotham, it's not Chicago, it's Gotham City. All these little things that they do, they take it just a little step further. I think it's something that I've kind of grown into more. You know what I mean? I didn't like it as much when I was a kid.
So amongst all these terrible people, like everyone's there, the PLO, the Scientologists.
It's a who's who. It's a who's who of the new crowd.
Yeah, including a certain bad guy who longtime fans of the Arrowverse shows would know. As a matter of fact, when this episode first aired, this character was the big bad on that season of Arrow, and that is Damien Dark, who they don't say his name here, but you recognize him. He's the blonde-haired guy in the Nehru jacket, who's questioning them, played by the outstanding Neil McDonough,
Yeah,
who I'm sure you recognized.
But is he? Yeah, I did. Yeah. My God, yeah, he stands out. He's a great character actor. What? So is he supposed to be? Is he supposed to be like 30 years younger here, or whatever, or 40 years younger, or what's the?
He's immortal-ish.
Okay.
As that he also has been revived via the Lazarus Pit, which we've got a lot more Lazarus Pit nonsense coming up.
Sure.
Next show.
Okay.
But at this point, he's been alive for quite some time, and he's the big bad on that season of Arrow. So once again, they're wanting to put some familiar faces from the hit shows on this show to get people's attention.
Yeah. What is his? I don't know. What's the name of that actor again?
Neil McDonough.
What would you say is his most well-known role outside of this?
You know what?
Such a recognizable face, right? Like I know I've seen him in 1,000 things.
Well, for me,
Minority Report. Is he in Minority Report, the film?
Oh, maybe.
I think so.
For me, it's two things. One, I love that he played a Dum Dum Dugan in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Right.
And as well as the criminally underrated Peggy Carter television show.
Cool.
I love.
Yeah.
But being that we're all in isolation now, and we're going back and maybe watching some movies we didn't see, like we talked about before, or going back and watching stuff you enjoyed. I did that 2 weeks ago, and I binged again HBO's Band of Brothers.
Wow.
And he was one of the soldiers in Band of Brothers. That's where I think many people first saw him.
Right.
And he's a wonderful actor. And this part of Damien Dark, he, over the course of a few years, he takes it from just menacing to fun and menacing. He has so much joy with this character. But as far as his greatest acting role that I'm aware of, it's Band of Brothers. He tears your heart out.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, he's got a really unique look, too.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, that's just it. At the start of a global pandemic, I needed something to cheer me up, and I was like, D-Day.
Yeah.
World War II.
Cool, yeah. I like it.
So, Professor Stein, he's feeling his oats here, playing a bad guy, and he fucks up. Because he says to Vandal Savage, he's like, I doubt you even could get enough fissionable material in this era.
Yes.
This era.
Oh, yeah.
Dummy.
Minor slip up, yeah.
This man is supposed to be a genius.
Yeah, rookie mistake. Hey, man, even the world's smartest man, the world's dumbest man know as much as time traveling when you've done it once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he is half of a nuclear-powered superhero, so
you think he'd have a little bit more judgment.
A little bit, yeah. But he's feeling cocky. That's a big theme of this episode, is his cockiness. Right. So then Vandal Savage says, change of plans. First people to kill these guys
nuke.
Gets the nuke.
Yeah.
And then finally you get Mick Rory going, can I burn something?
Yeah.
And I wish you would.
Yeah.
And we get our first big battle scene with all the characters. You got Firestorm and White Canary. The Atom's hiding in a pocket, and he comes out.
Yeah.
And they're having the huge battle. Great camera shots. It's these big rotating camera shots of the battles, because one of the things that I really love about these shows is the stunt work involved is outstanding.
Yeah. Again, reminds me of Buffy. Buffy always had really good stunt work.
And so Vandal Savage sets off the nuke, and Firestorm takes the nuke and he flies it away, and it blows up, and he absorbs it.
Yeah. Now we're talking, man. Yeah. That's your. This is the stuff we need. This is why I'm saying you need the second half of the pilot. We haven't seen the extent of Firestorm's powers yet. And that is, there you go, Exhibit A. The guy absorbs a nuclear bomb. Did I see nuclear? I think I did. Nuclear bomb.
It's okay.
And yeah, there you go. There's that those cheesy special effects, but who cares, man? I don't care. Like I'm totally on board for that kind of stuff. I was not aware that Firestorm was that powerful at all, man. That's crazy.
Well, it's funny is because they haven't even touched on, because Firestorm is so powerful in the comics that they kind of have to mess around with it a little bit here. And they eventually do get into it, because in the comics, one of his skills is he can turn anything into anything.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's shooting bullets, he can change their molecular structure and turn it into gumdrops or shit like that, you know? So he's... Which they do get into this season.
What would you say is the Marvel equivalent? Is he like a Herald of Galactus? Is he like Fire Lord?
No.
Is he cosmic?
No. Firestorm is the nuclear man.
Okay.
There was the character actually got started around 74, 75, right at the height of the no nukes movement.
Sure.
So it was the teenager Ronnie Raymond was at a nuclear protest just to pick up chicks. And Professor Stein, of course, is the nuclear scientist. Something goes wrong. There's a bad guy involved. It blows up, and they become Firestorm. And they, the nuclear man. And it was a failure of a character. And then they brought him back in the early 80s.
Yeah, this is when I started seeing
made a success out of him. Yeah.
Was he a JSA member or JLA?
JLA. Yeah. That's how they reintroduced him. They reintroduced him in the Superman team-up comic and had him join the Justice League, where suddenly you got to see, as you mentioned last show, George Perez draw him, and it was dope.
I think that's what got me. Yeah.
And then they rebooted him during that wave of DC Comics of the early '80s, led by the New Teen Titans. Yeah. There was a lot of good new books, and the Fury of Firestorm was one of them, at least for a while.
Yeah, I have a peripheral kind of knowledge of that era. But yeah, continue, sir.
But all this shit happens, the nuclear arms deal, bidding with guns. Hold on, I got to get back to this. I got to get back.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
My father was an auctioneer. I mean, my dad, he did landscaping, mainly construction work, not like mowing lawns, landscaping. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the people who, plant giant trees at malls and shopping centers. But when I was very little, right around 1975, he wanted to be an auctioneer, and he went away to school in Kansas City for like a whole summer.
Yeah.
And he came back and he became an auctioneer. That was the weekend job. It was a family business. He at one point was the official auctioneer for the state of New Jersey for the better part of a decade. And that's the auctioneer who, that's the auctioneer who does the auctions where they auction off like used government vehicles
or evidence or like seized.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And everything cash. Everything cash. Oh, plenty of times I heard stories, because if you were under 18, you couldn't go to the auction.
Yeah.
I heard stories about you'd see guys bidding on that speedboat that got impounded.
Yes. Yeah.
And everyone knew not to bid against those people.
Oh man, wild.
So I can only picture my dad doing his shtick, and he was good. Yeah. My dad had a following like deadheads.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
There were people who would go to all of his auctions just for the show, because he put on a show. He had a big Stetson hat, the whole outfit.
That is so cool.
And
is there any existing footage of this?
Oh no,
of your dad in action, man.
I wish.
That is so cool. And then somebody just starts firing off there.
Yeah, I can imagine start firing off guns. My old man, God damn it. Trying to sell this goddamn nuke, shooting off guns like fucking goddamn son of bitches.
Especially with a nuke. Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, shoot off guns to bid on the nuclear bomb.
This is how we do it in Norway.
Someone shows up with a paddle with a number, and someone just, you're out of here.
Get out of here.
You're in over your head, buddy.
Get out of here, Sheila.
So all of this happens before the opening credits.
Yeah, wild.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
We want to talk about kicking it off.
Sure, yeah.
You have all a nuclear bomb, guns going off the bid, the arms auction, Leonard being snarky. It's great.
Yeah. And they get rid of the dangling Chad from episode 1 PDQ there with that nuke. So all right, let's move on.
Okay. So they get back to the ship, and Rip, of course, is like, "Oh, nice job, dum-dums."
Yeah.
He is now Randall Savage. Yes, that's his real name.
God damn it. Randall. Call me by my full name, yeah.
Yeah. You said Era.
My mother called me Randall. That's what you'll call me. You dig it?
So, but apparently part of Ray's suit fell off. His Atom suit. And Gideon shows them because of this. Vandal Savage had his cronies repurpose it, and they show that now he's conquered everything in 2016. And they show Central City in flames.
Yeah. This is good. This is so. I'm guessing this is they're bringing in the kind of Back to the Future rules. The first time they show up here, that if you muck up the past and you might lose something, right? We see it also later with a bit of Victor Garber, right? Is this something that shows? Do they stick to this?
Yes, for a while they do, at least. It's very much the whole time takes a while to settle. Yeah, like concrete.
Right. I like that. I like that idea. That's cool.
Now by let's see, season 5, where we're at now in current day, it's all out the goddamn window with rules. No one gives a shit, and it's a lot more fun that way.
Sure. Hey. Awesome.
It reminds me of in Endgame, Avengers Endgame, where they're all talking, well, these are the rules of time travel, and they're like, what are you talking about? That's movies. You can be whatever you want.
Yeah, my favorite part is that they say Hot Tub Time Machine twice.
Yeah,
Hot Tub Time Machine. Hot Tub Time Machine. Man, do you want to talk about a criminally underrated film? Hot Tub Time Machine. That for such a stupid, silly thing, it really has something to say about what you do with your youth and how you make up for your mistakes in youth, and just because you're an old guy doesn't mean that shit's over with. I was so pleasantly surprised with Hot Tub Time Machine. Anyways, there's my little mini review for the day.
There you go.
And disappointed with Hot Tub Time Machine 2, of course, because I'm a huge Adam Scott fan. I'm a big John Cusack fan, of course. I Say Anything and like High Fidelity and The Grifters, all of them. My God, I have like 4 or 5 of his films are like some of my favorite films. And I really like Adam Scott, but second one just did not work for whatever reason. Anyways, Legends of Tomorrow. We're flying time travel.
Oh, so number one, Vandal Savage his assistant, the really creepy looking guy, the skinny, creepy looking guy with the sunken eyes.
Yeah,
I love that guy. He's wonderful on here, and he's currently the creepy doctor on Riverdale.
Huh? Yeah.
So
wonder if he's from Vancouver.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. There is a laboratory scene. That's a ways in here still, right?
Yeah, it's a ways in.
Yeah, remind me when you get there. That's when I have my first recognized actor.
Oh yeah. Speaking of recognized, any of these locations ringing a bell?
There was more from the previous episode that I didn't really get into. There's a part where they make a deal. They pull off to their cars. Where they make a deal with that Darth Vader looking guy. I can't remember his name.
Kronos?
Yeah, Kronos. That is like very close to our place. You see like those like those big cranes in the background behind us, meant to look like loading docks and stuff, because that's what it is. It is loading docks. That's about 8 blocks from our house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
For those of you who might not listen to the first episode, and what's wrong with you if you haven't?
Yeah. But I like to start on the second one.
Travis here lives in Vancouver, where they film all this shit. So
yeah, I'll tip you off. So as I said, I'll tip you off when I recognize a location, and also when I recognize an actor. And I definitely recognized one here, who I have. Some of them I know, some of them I should be able to reach out to. I'm certain I'm going to run into people that I know that I can at least get a few words from about their experience. But this guy I know kind of peripherally. Anyways.
Well, no. Now that you bring it up, there's a scene where Vandal Savage is telling his people, reverse engineer this. One guy's like, "Oh, this will take forever," and he goes, "Oh, it looks easy to me," and kills the guy with Ray's little ray gun, and says, "Get to work." And then,
and there's this one little. He doesn't have a line. He's a cringy little kind of. He's got glasses. And dark hair. I'm wondering if he did get credit, and I'm looking at his IMDb here, and he did. He was credited as Savage's scientist, but he does appear in a later episode from this season as a party guest as well. His name is Peter Brown. I know him through ECCW, which is the local wrestling. One of the local wrestling companies here, where he totally has a thin. That kind of hipster look. He was on Big Brother Canada. I'm looking at his Twitter right now. He's got about 30.9 thousand followers. Aside from, I think Big Brother Canada was his biggest thing. He always plays a manager, just kind of like it's really funny looking at his IMDb. And it covers a lot. He's been at this for a while, and he has a lot of like the same types of roles that if I had dug in and left my family behind, I'd probably have a few more of these as well. But the funniest thing is he has at least a half dozen here over gosh, more than that, probably 10, where he just plays hipster. That's the title on the show. And he's been on The Flash. He's played a band member / hipster / McKay in 3 different episodes, so they keep calling him back. He's been on Riverdale. You want to know what role he played on Riverdale? What? Hipster. What? He's been on Arrow. He played hacker, waiter, and hipster. So this guy, he's busy. He's always working pretty safe. Looks like he's a writer too. I think he's involved behind the scene at ECCW as well. He used to be like that kind of. He was a manager. He'd come out with an iPad for his clients. He'd be that kind of annoying hipster type that he's got that look. It works for him. If you can see a picture of him, you'd know which guy I'm talking about. I think he does a lot of background work as well, and I think in this case he might have been upgraded because he doesn't get a line, and I don't think that is a part that they would hold auditions for. Because he just kind of does yes boss, kind of face. I think that they just kind of did a look at, okay, what do we have for scientists who can pull this off? Guess what? You just got an upgrade, pal.
Where's the hipster? Can you play scientist? So.
I'm looking for a hipster side. Oh, there he is. Peter Brown comes through again. Yeah, but that guy, this guy, there you go. That's my first recognition. Nice. I don't know him well enough to reach out to him, but I know I recognize the guy. And apparently, who else knows him is the DCU, man, as you can see. He's done a lot.
Oh, yeah. They are definitely loyal to their actors on these shows in a big bad way.
Yeah.
Granted, of course, they're going to cast out of the area because it just makes sense. But you'll see people pop up. In fact, on all of these CW shows, Berlanti himself.
Yeah.
There was an actor who played. He was one of the major villains in last season of Supergirl. Played Agent Liberty. And in this season of Riverdale, he was a teacher at this prep school that Jughead went to, and there's a murder involved.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's all the same casting director.
I would imagine.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, our first story is, apparently, I'm going to talk about a MacGuffin, the first of many MacGuffins on this series, if you can call it that. Ray's suit uses, what do they say, alpha waves?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Something like that.
Yeah, something alpha waves. To mimic the white dwarf star. Because it was always, he shrinks because of white dwarf star. So that now there's alpha waves. And it just so happens that in 1975, the only human being who knows about alpha waves and is an expert is young Martin Stein. So they got to go find Martin, and Sarah and Jax go find young Martin. Because that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, oh God, what are the chances? Yeah.
Of all the team, let's send. They've already made it clear you really shouldn't interact with yourself. Right. Okay, we're off.
Yeah.
And so they get to the university again, a nice needle drop. I can't remember what it was. There was a Shining Star, maybe, or
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah. This is the time I thought, like, wow, these guys, they don't skimp on the music rights.
No, they don't.
But it's
they're all
I bet you
Go ahead.
it's Warner Brothers, right?
Sort of, kind of, yeah.
I bet you there's some sort of inside kind of thing there that makes they were able to pick up things a little more on the cheap. Maybe, I don't know. Like it just boggles my, like, imagine hearing like a Zeppelin song or something. Do we hear a Zeppelin song at some point? Because those infamously expensive, you know what I mean? Or like Satisfaction, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't remember. They toned it down eventually.
Yeah.
But every now and then they whip one out.
It's just so effective. It's so effective for, as we said, like establishing a time period.
Excuse me. So they go to the university where they find young Stein, and they're all dressed in 70s clothes, you know, which is hilarious. And they find young Stein. Now, I'll fill you in. Young Stein becomes a recurring character in ways over the course of the next three seasons. He pops up more than once. And so Professor Stein goes up and introduces himself to himself and says, "I'm Professor Elon Musk."
Yeah. That was a nice touch. That made my wife laugh.
Oh, you watched this with your wife?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a segment where what does she think of this horse shit?
She's into it. No, she's for sure. Like she's going to be my go-to. She'll recognize parts of Vancouver quicker than I will. That's been a hidden passion of hers for years. She says going back to 21 Jump Street, my friend. So don't you worry, because that was the first big Vancouver show, was 21 Jump Street. After that came X-Files, and then it's been like just a string of like sci-fi and the like types of shows. That's our main source of income.
I won't.
Go ahead.
I won't lie. I loved 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
From second season.
Yeah.
The second season to like the fourth season. I thought that show was great.
I haven't watched it since it was on, but I remember at the time I was just the right age where it was kind of scaring me straight. You know what I mean?
Well,
at that time, I mean, like, shit, that wears off. Of course.
Well, that came on when I was a senior in high school, so I was already, it was too late for me. Yeah. But there was an episode of 21 Jump Street, which, believe it or not, was the very first time I ever heard Monkey Man by the Stones.
Huh? Wow. There you go. Talk about expensive song rights. Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, so speaking of Stones.
Yeah, I
know. Okay.
Yeah. Good. No. It's all right.
That's okay.
Finish it. I mean,
terrible.
People are dying. People are wanting to know what the fuck we're groaning about.
Well, this is now this scene has the first of what becomes a recurring thing on this show of our good guys do drugs and get fucked up, because they do. It goes on and on over the course of this series, but they're tripping, they're smoking pot. It's great. Mm-hmm. So because they approach young Stein about the alpha waves horseshit, and he's like, I even have an invention to track it. Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
And why didn't old Stein know that he once built one of these things? Yeah. This is apparently new information.
Yeah.
But who gives a shit? Yeah. Because you get this great line from young Stein. "Let's go spark a doobie and talk physics."
Yeah. Yeah. The 70s.
Something nobody has ever said.
Yeah.
Ever spark a doobie.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So
that's interesting that they bring him back. Good for that actor. I bet you that was a pleasant surprise.
Oh yeah, he's really, really good too.
Yeah.
As you'll see in later episodes. But yeah, this is the first of many drug references, because Sarah's just like, yeah, let's get stoned. Mm-hmm. So they go to the lab. They're trying to horse shit him, around, trying to find out where his device is. They're going to take a picture of it for a magazine. And then he decides he's going to get some chocolate chip cookie dough. So they start searching, and they find the device in a desk.
Yeah.
And then they're confronted by young Stein. He's like, what's going on here? And they're going back and forth and back and forth. And then, now, here's the thing. I can accept that a nuclear man, can absorb a nuclear blast.
Yeah.
I can accept that ice guns, and I can accept heat guns and sexy ninjas, assassins, and all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't knock somebody out with a plastic graphics.
Yeah.
So Sarah eventually just knocks out young Stein with a bong, which is which is great on the page.
Yes. Yes.
But it's one of those 3-foot graphics. Like, I used to have one of these things. It was black. We used to call it the big black cock of death, because it would knock you out. You'd fall off your chair. I broke a rib falling off a chair smoking that thing once. But they're plastic. Yeah. And she bongs him with a plastic bong and knocks him silly. And I was like, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, but that's your standard, trope. Anyways, he's out cold. The old knock him out with the bong in the 70s.
Okay, so they get the device, and we'll get into it, but they use it to track down the suit. They get there. And one of the many, shouldn't Firestorm take care of this? They're like, no, we've already spent our Firestorm budget for this episode.
Yeah.
You guys stay here. And Sarah just kicks all their asses. And they even say, Jax even says, he's like, you sure you can do that? You're stoned. She's like, I could handle a bunch of lackeys stoned, no problem.
Yeah.
Kicks all their ass, takes the part. Successful mission. But then they're back on the Wave Rider. And young Stein has woken up and followed them there with this line. There's something like, what was it? You don't think I could build a device to track the device that I built?
Yeah.
In 5 minutes?
Yes. Or did he already have it? I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. Let's keep going. Come on. Okay. Let's keep this thing moving. That's what I'm thinking at that point. No. That's what I'm thinking. I know. That's why it's what I told you about. I'm like Jerry Seinfeld. The sea was angry that day, my friend, like an old man returning soup in a dilly. Okay, whatever. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so during all this, Professor Stein noticed that his wedding ring disappears.
Yeah.
Which means he didn't meet Clarissa.
Yeah. Did it disappear, or was it starting to disappear?
It disappeared.
It's gone. Okay. So that was the first kind of real look at, start to see that kind of Back to the Future.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they end up talking to young Stein. They get him off the ship and get it figured out. And then towards the end of the episode, though, Rip Hunter will takes old Stein to show him that, oh, look, your wedding ring's back. And he went ahead and made sure that his young self did meet Clarissa. Because
really nice touch.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch thing.
Yeah.
I've asked you to risk everything for me. I won't have you risk your relationship. And one thing to look forward to, it existed on Flash, where they introduced these characters. But you'll see a lot of it in this. The relationship between Professor Stein and his wife on this show is something they go to a lot, and it's really well done. It's delightful. She's aware. She's like that her husband is going off on this adventure, and she's fine with it. It's her midlife crisis,
Great.
And
cool.
They have a wonderful relationship on the show. It takes some weird twists and turns too. So
right on.
Good stuff. So then we have story number 2, because there's a bunch of there's more Hawks bullshit.
Yeah.
Where,
I was just thinking how we haven't even got to this.
We'll just be very quick here. So it's another sexy flashback Hawks horseshit thing. The gist of which is there's a knife, and it was presented to Shira in the past as a gift from Kofu, and only this knife can kill Vandal Savage, because they've already established that items related to him can kill him, but now it's the knife can kill him. Well, we got to find the knife. They look it up, and they find this collector has it. So now is the part where, why do you have thieves? They're going to go steal. So it's Rory and Snart, the Heatwave and Captain Cold, and Ray wants to go along for the ride with the thieves because he don't trust them. Gosh darn it! And what does Ray do? he fucks up.
Yeah.
First thing he does is fucks up, alerts the guards. They knock out the guards. They get in. They steal the knife. And, of course, the bad guys start stealing everything. There's all kinds of, like, ancient Greek helmets.
Right.
All kinds of shit.
That's a good touch. I love that, like, they're going to keep reminding you, no, like, these guys, they're part of the squad, but don't forget that they got their own agenda.
Yeah. Well, Ray's horrified at this. Because, as we mentioned, as you said, he's the Boy Scout. And you get the Wentworth Miller is a national treasure line of the episode when he's explaining thieving to young Ray Palmer. Raymond, you don't break into a candy store and only steal one gumball.
Yeah. Tremendous. Tremendous.
Chef's kiss. So, Rory goes off to, I don't know, go to the fuse box about some horse shit. And Raymond fucks up, and a giant cage drops out of the ceiling. Ka-klung. Right on top of him. Yeah. This is some CGI. Just boom.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty funny. Old school.
Yeah. But they have their bonding. This is one of the first of the Ray and Leo bonding moments.
Yeah.
You know, they talk a little bit and his background, and Ray fixes something. He's like, yeah, you're not completely useless, Raymond. But here's the twist. It's Vandal Savage's house.
Right.
He's the collector.
Yeah.
And he's got Mick Rory. He's got a gun to his head. Little itty bitty Savage. He's got the gun to giant Mick Rory's head. Now, they do explain it to their credit. It's like, I've mastered every pressure point that he knows every pressure point. And that's how this tiny, tiny man is falling.
Yeah.
Giant heat wave, who's I'm sure has had a gun held to his head many times, but okay. So they go, oh, a listening device or a communications device. Alert your friends. So now all the plots come together for the big fight at the end.
Yeah.
So the legends arrive at the house just in time. It's kind of cool. Adam just like shoots him through a fucking wall or some shit, you know, I'm sorry, Firestorm throws him through a wall. Mm-hmm. And you think, I'm like, you just disintegrate him, nuclear man.
Yeah. But we learned it's not that simple.
That's true. That's true.
What was I going to say? I loved the how much he is committed. The guy who is, because I was a little worried about, Firestorm. As a character committed to the team and the cause, because I was like, how do you? This guy was drugged and brought over here, and they've already made us kind of forget about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm only a mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're also a nuclear powered superhero.
Yeah.
Come on, motherfucker.
You kind of buried the lead there, bud.
So all these flunkies are coming out of nowhere and everyone's fighting them. But Carter, he takes the knife. He's like, just give me the knife and I'll do what I have to do. So the Hawks confront Savage and Carter gets him. Now this is when I think Savage has the line. He's like, oh, we danced this dance of death again.
Yes.
Sing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Carter gets him. He stabs him. And he's gurgling up blood and he's like, do the gurgling. He's just like, the hand who does it must be hers or some shit.
Right,
and he stabs Carter Hall and kills Hawkman.
One Hawk down. One Hawk down. One to go. I was going to say about the Hawks, though, especially as you say that they've got their long they have the lore. And I can see why they would, the creators of the show would go to that as like a big kind of, not anchor, but something that you can kind of have with you as you're telling this story for the first season. But also, I think if you're trying to sell this show to people based on that first image of who's in it, I think the Hawkman or Hawk Girl, either one, costume is probably the most recognizable out of all these characters. Wouldn't you agree?
That's I never thought of it that way. I was like, if you're looking for comic book fans to get it.
Yeah. Like, and you're showing them
Yeah.
that first like shot, like you say you're flipping through a. They don't make Wizard anymore, but like, some sort of, maybe in Entertainment Weekly, right? You flip through it and you'd see that shot of like the team, and you say, oh, okay, I know Hawkman. Wow, there's a Hawkman and a Hawkwoman in the show. Count me in. You know what I mean?
For me, if they had Captain Cold just in the parka with the parka up, because he's done that part, with his cool Captain Cold glasses.
Glasses, yeah.
And I saw that because that's essentially Captain Cold. I mean, the comic book.
That's who I would like if they would have shown him like that. I would have made the connection that's who it was. I'm just oh hey sure man, hey me too. That's probably what would Captain Cold's in this, then I'd be down. But I mean, like, for your average, people have watched
the Hawkman would jump
Super Friends. People have watched Super Friends, you know what I mean, or whatever, right? People knew the kind of he's like that. People know Justice Society, or people know Justice League more than they know some of these other tertiary characters. So that's why I think they get. As you've already told me that we're down 2 Hawks by the end of this season, but I think including them was related to that that fact that they're a little more recognizable.
And you mentioned Super Friends. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, my friend, but let me just put it this way, or it takes a while, but. The inspiration behind the team ups here comes a little bit more from Super Friends than it does from Justice League.
Cool.
So if you're a Super Friends fan, you are going to have your geek itch scratched.
Are you telling me someone's going to take the shape of something involving water at some point here?
I'm not even. I'm not.
All right.
You know what? I will say no to that.
Okay, good. Okay.
There is some shit. Oh, you are going to love eventually. So when you see it, you're gonna go. It's next season, but you'll go ape shit.
All right.
So big fight. Carter's dead. They got to get away. They leave his body behind. Trust me, that is important. And they're on the ship. And now, what do they do? Mm-hmm. Everything's fucked up. This becomes a Legends trope throughout the show, is they constantly fuck up. It's just one constant fuck up after another. Mm-hmm.
And they got to talk about what they've learned. It's like the end of a Perfect Strangers episode. You start to hear the harmonica. Well, we tried and we lost, but you know what? The sun's going to come up again tomorrow, Adam.
Yeah. Maybe in this season, yes, but eventually it gets into can't believe we lucked into a success again. It literally becomes, how the fuck do they get out of this one? They're a bunch of idiots. They do it,
awesome.
And it's fun. But yeah, in this there's a lot of lessons. But they have to decide, are they going to stick together and go on this mission after they've been lied to and drugged by their mentor?
Yeah.
And had to wear those foam hawk heads and all this shit. And Carter's dead. And they decide, no, fuck this. Now it's personal. Look.
Right.
Carter may have been stiff as a goddamn board, but he was one of us.
But he's one of us. Yeah.
And which is truly said by Captain Cold, Leonard Snart. He's like, look, we didn't know Carter from Adam, but if you take out one of our crew, you pay the price. Which I thought was dope. I was like, that's all you need.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
For those characters, for Heatwave and Captain Cold to be like, okay, we're part of this now. What does it need? It's like, killed one of my crew. Okay, that's it. So, because it gets, especially these early episodes, like, well, why are these two bad guys sticking around?
Yeah.
But that really does explain it.
For sure.
And next up, I'm just going to tease the next episode. It's going to be a lot of fun because a lot of this pays off. There's some really good shit in this.
Yeah,
but
it's their first kind of self-contained adventure, right? Or
yes.
Cool, count me in.
Yes.
But I did, as I said, this complemented that first, what I thought was a self-contained first episode, and it was to a large extent. But this really was that other side of the coin where they had to kind of recognize some insecurities. We talked about Victor Garber's character. He's really doubting himself, and then kind of gets the pep talk from Firestorm. So it's a good kind of the switcheroo there. They are Firestorm. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. What's the character's name?
Jax.
Jax, yeah. So that's a good touch, yeah. Got a little bit of everything. We were a little light on White Canary this episode compared to the first one, but I mean, you gotta touch on. You can't. This is an ensemble show, right? She got her intro in the first one, and you kind of learned where she came from, and we got to spend a little more time sorting out the other guys here.
Yeah, she got to be a sexy, kick-ass stone warrior in this. That was her role.
Yeah.
I will say, next episode, heavy Sarah stuff, and
cool.
It's truly flesh out her character for those who aren't like you, who aren't familiar with her.
Sounds good.
So with that, hey, we did it again, man.
Yep. Two in. What did I think of this episode?
Yeah, what'd you think?
I think the both of them have their ups and downs. I love I think the stand up part that I popped the most for was the same thing with you firing off the guns at the auction. Never that is pretty funny. And yeah, it's got some of that kind of that DC action that I'm looking to see more of, right? That DC style of thing that I'm hoping to get more out of with this, and we're starting to see the team bond in the way that it should.
All right, well, that's it for Gideon Guys episode 2. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. We're on Twitter at Guys Gideon. I don't know how it came out that way. It's
whatever, it works.
I'm so terrible at Twitter. But we're at Guys Gideon on Twitter, and you can look for John Hedgepeth on Facebook. Travis, what are your social media?
I mean, my Twitter. I have 2 Twitter accounts. I have one that's more wrestling centric at Lucha Aftergrund. That's AFTERGRND. Or you can follow me. My main Twitter is WCTSS at WCTSS, which is that's just my regular one there. Yeah, probably I'm on there a little more often if you want to get in touch with me. If I had messaged when I was sharing this, if you I know if you're a Vancouver actor, have a story from the set, or a Vancouver crew member, and have some stories from the set, let us know. We'd love to have you on and hear a bit more about this.
If you're a Vancouver resident who was just in the background watching them film, we're good. Come on, come on the show.
Yeah, give us a shout out.
All right, man. Well, Travis, thanks again. That was a total stone blast.
Awesome.
And everyone, thanks for listening to Gideon Guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you later.